Hello and welcome back for another sewing tutorial. Today, again, I am going to be making a project out of necessity. My son said that he really wanted a backpack to be able to bring his soccer ball to the park, and of course, these are the best ones, aren't they? They're so quick and easy. This is only going to take about 10 minutes. I made it out of waterproof fabric, so it's really easy to clean. And yeah, so anything that you need to know about this project will be down in the description box below. So any links, the measurements for adults and children will be there for you. And yeah, let's just get straight into the tutorial. Okay, so first we're gonna go over the type of fabric that we're gonna be using for this tutorial. I am using this orange fabric, which is actually a water resistant sort of nylon, so it's great for, you know, the bags that are probably going to be out in the rain at sports, you know, thrown in the park. It won't get very dirty, things will just kind of fall off of it. So it's just very washable. I'm going to be using a piece of blue for some contrast, and then also my blue paracord. Now you can use any sort of cording or rope. Just make sure that it's a type of cord that if it is going to be in contact with your skin, that it's not going to create any, you know, irritation or end up cutting your skin or something like that. So I have this blue paracord. I bought it off of Amazon. I will have a link to everything that I use in this tutorial in the description box or at a blog post, just so that you're able to get your hands on exactly what I'm using. This fabric here is sort of along the same lines as the waterproof canvas. So if you're familiar with that, but waterproof canvas is way heavier and this is a lot thinner. So you can imagine it sort of like a thin lining. Now there's different levels sometimes depending on where you buy it, where it starts at about the 600 is for the waterproof canvas, and I'm fairly certain this is either a 300 or a 420. So either or would work great for a bag like this. You want it to be a little bit thin because at the top you're going to be cinching it together, so you want the fabric to be able to scrunch up and actually close. Now, with that being said, if you want to use a cotton fabric, you're welcome to do that. Any sort of lightweight fabric, even maybe a mesh fabric, depending on what you plan on putting in it. If you want to put beach toys in it and make sure that the sand goes through the holes, there's so many options, but just know that the technique that we are using today will be a technique that makes all the raw edges hidden. So, you know, using a cotton fabric would be absolutely fine because, again, those raw edges are going to be hidden. It also will add, you know, some fun color and just, you know, a pattern instead of just the plain fabric here. Now, of course, if you want to have fun with this, if you do have plain, you could also personalize them. If you want to make it for a team, everyone gets one, put their number on it, put their name on it, be super fun. You can pull out your Cricut and be able to do something like that. So although it's plain, there's just still so many possibilities that you can do with this type of fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and change the camera angle, and we're going to get sewing this wonderful easy backpack, which I'll tell you that you can buy them at the dollar store, but they are very cheaply made. So this one is going to stand the test of time, as long as your kids don't lose them, which has happened. Ask me how I know. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, we have 2 layers of fabric, the front and the back. And then we also have a piece that is measured by 3 inches by 8 inches. This is going to be the little ribbons at the side so that we can loop our paracord through. Now, if you don't want to use the same fabric, you could use a ribbon, or you can sew the cord directly into the seam. But we're just going to use this, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it in half. If there's a right or wrong side, then fold it right sides together. And then we're going to sew that with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now we're going to take a tool, a poking tool, a flipping tool, or you can just use your fingers. And I'm just going to flip this right sides out. just like that. And from here, we're just going to kind of roll it. If you're using a fabric that you can press, then I would definitely press that. Now with the seam, I'm probably going to leave this seam centered, and then you can press that. And then once we put it in the bag, we can fold it so that the seam is on the inside of that fold. So now I'm just going to press it down really good, and then we're just going to do a top stitch along both sides so that it makes it nice and flat. Okay, just like that. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half, and we're going to cut it into two, because we need two for both sides of our bag. And they only need to be about 3 inches long, so you really don't need a huge loop to be able to put your paracord through. Okay, so we're just going to put these to the side, and now we're going to work on our front and back. Front and back. So I have them both here together evenly. I'm going to take a ruler, and I'm going to mark with some chalk 4 inches down and 1 inch in. Okay. And now making sure that your fabric together is even, I'm just going to go ahead, take my scissors, and I'm just going to snip into my fabric. And we're going to go on the opposite side, and we're going to do the same thing. So if you have a directional fabric, a fabric with a print, we're doing this at the top of our fabric. We want to make sure that that's where we're going to put the casing for our paracord so that our print isn't upside down. Okay, and we'll do the other side. I think I might have made that 1.25 inches on the other side by accident. And we're just going to snip. So now we have them both snipped together, so we can separate them and then work on the front and the back separately. Now, my nylon fabric does feel a little bit rubbery on one side, which means that that is the wrong side. It's going to be kind of sticky, waterproof. So what you're going to do is pretending like this is the wrong side, which I know it is. We're going to take the little notch that we cut, and if you have a iron, then you can do that. If you have a fabric like mine where you can't iron it, then just try to press it really good, and we'll put some clips. So I just folded it once, and then I brought it back. See, I'm folding it once, bringing it back, and then folding it 1/2 inch towards that first fold mark, and then again. Just like that. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to sew it down and that little notch right here. Now it will be left raw, but that's okay. It won't bother anyone. Just like that. We're going to spin it. Just like that. And then we'll do the other side. turn it. And there we have it. Now you have that finished nicely. And now we're going to fold down to create our casing. So we're just gonna fold down like a 1/2 inch. Again, you can press that with your iron. And then we'll fold it again all the way down to the bottom of where we sewed. So because again, I can't iron this, we're just going to bring it right there. And you can use a clip. And because this is waterproof, poking holes isn't ideal, but you might need to. Just to be able to keep things in place. But also you could use double-sided tape for this as well. Okay, so just like that, and that will create that nice large casing for your paracord. We're going to go ahead and sew that down. Okay, so making sure we backstitch here, because this is where a lot of stress is going to be. All right, so that is how it is going to look. Okay, so that is our first panel. So whether it's your front or your back, it's gonna be identical. So I'm gonna go ahead and off camera, I'm gonna do the exact same thing, repeat that with the second piece of fabric. And I'll meet you back here so that we can finish our final bag assembly. It is super quick. Okay, so now we have both complete. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put them with the wrong sides together. Yes, I know, it's weird. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a French seam, and this is gonna help to encase all of those raw edges. So we're also gonna take those little ties that we made and making sure that the seam is up, we're gonna fold it in half. And then we are going to It can be a little bit more just because it is going to be a 1-inch seam allowance at the end, but a generous 1/4 inch. Make sure you catch the tie. And the other side. So that is how it's going to look. So now we can take it and we can flip it right sides out. And then we're just going to sort of expose the side seam. So if you need to press, you can go ahead and do that. With this type of fabric, you might need to roll it in your fingers, and we can just put little clips. Sometimes using a turning tool, running it along the inside of the seam pushes out that seam, and then you can press it. Like that. And do the other side. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do an even larger seam allowance, and we're just going to line it right up with the top of our casing. So again, it's going to be a little bit big, but that's okay. And we'll do the other side. Now from here, that tie is getting smaller, but now there's 2 rows of stitches going into that tie, and so we have some really good strength there. We don't have to worry about it being pulled out. Okay, so now we're going to flip it right sides out again. And we're going to go ahead and close up the bottom. Now this is where I meant if you wanted to install your paracord now, instead of using the ties, you could slip it into this seam while you're sewing it shut. So just keep that in mind. You can totally skip a step. And I'm going to go ahead and do a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then we're going to flip it and do our last French seam. more time. Okay, so the way that I did it, now it's going to create sort of a little, it catches it on the inside. So now what we can do is we can kind of fold that down and then all the way to the end, and it's just going to kind of keep that large seam allowance out of the way. Now when we sew, we're just going to sew right underneath that tie. And this is our last French seam. All right. Now we can, so we are going to have some raw edges with the nylon. Now because it's plastic, you could just kind of singe it off and then it'll prevent it from fraying. If you're using cotton, you could just use a pinking shears and that would be fine, but I think that's great. So now we can go ahead and install our paracord, and again I'll have the links and how much paracord you need for one bag, so if you're making a bunch, you know, you can kind of figure out how. I'll also have that measurements for, this is the adult, and then I'll have one for the children size because this one's a little bit big. But here we go. So as you can see, it has, it goes right up to the casing. It's beautiful. It has those little ties right at the bottom. And let's get our paracord. Okay, we have it. So what you're gonna do is we're going to have two separate pieces, but I just like to keep it all attached. I'll just do one side at a time to make sure that I don't end up using or wasting any of my cord. I'm going to use this little hook tool, and I'm just going to put it through one of the casings, bring it through, and then I'm going to put it right from this one to the next one. So I'll just flip it around. And I'll just hook it just like that. Okay, so we don't want any of this to be scrunching up. We're going to take the cord, pulling it, and we're going to bring it down to the tie. So then you're going to take your cord, slip it into, just like that. And we don't want to use too much, so if you need to shorten it, just pull it a little bit, bring it down. So give yourself about 3 inches to tie it off in a knot. And then we're just going to tie it like this. Just like that. And we want it to be perfectly fit. Even a little bit smaller would be okay, because it's going to be a lot of cord once you start cinching it up. So we want it to perfectly fit through the casing and to the tie. Now we're going to do it again, but we're going to go the opposite way to tie onto the other side. So I'm going to go through And with these really big casings, I do not have to fiddle or struggle to be able to get the tie-in. It is so easy. Just like that. And then we're going to go down to the next one. And I just love the colors that I chose. The green and orange are complementary colors, right? I think. If I'm going back to my color theory, let me know down below. I'm starting to, I feel like there's a good amount of sports teams that love blue and orange together. Okay, this is gonna be great. My son actually was just saying that he needed a backpack for his soccer ball, so he could just throw it on his back, you know, a water bottle or two, and then be able to go to the park. And this is perfect. It fits a ball and maybe a pair of cleats and a water bottle. So great for all those sports, you know, keeping everything wrangled. You don't necessarily need a huge sport bag when your kids are in soccer and stuff. So this is exactly perfect. Okay. There we have it. How cute. So all you're just gonna do is you can take it and you're gonna scrunch it up. And it's so easy. It's just, I love it. Make them for your kids, make them for yourself, make them for the birthday party you're going to. Have fun, decorate it, use your Cricut, pull out the vinyl. It's such a fun time. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you give it a try, I would love to see it. So please come over to social media, my TikTok or Instagram, and show me all the bags that you make. So easy again. All those measurements are down below. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.